Same exact Matrix-style logos from the first movie, but this time the score is pitched up a full step. What is it? Is it a giant interconnected underground city? A metaphor for the intricacies of how the Matrix works? Nope, just a punch clock. I remember it like it was yesterday. We'd waited a whole 4 years? That's it? Well, it felt like an eternity, and the Wachowskis knew that, and so they open on an action sequence and give us our first slow-mo flip and explosion in under 2 minutes.
Oh my god.
Also, Trinity goes beyond a landing that Wade would love and does one that Yelena would lovingly mock. Scorpion kick. Dang, just realizing, does Neo dream in Matrix code? That would make sense and also kind of suck. Also, our first bullet time in under 3 minutes. Why do you love us so much, Wachowskis? So we'll find out later that Trinity jumped out because she had no other choice, but I like the idea that the agent can jump out because he literally doesn't fear death. He can just respawn inside someone else. Never considered how much of an insane advantage that is. Weird reflection things are happening here, and not being able to explain it just makes it cooler. Sort of a theme for this movie. But also notice the mirroring of the first movie. Trinity jumping out a window rather than into a window, again turning around and pointing 2 pistols at an agent, but this time she's not safe, and it's a pretty good way to let us know this story is different. Whoa, brutal landing. Just check in, and yep, still an absurdly attractive couple.
I must ask you to do one thing.
What's that, sir?
To trust me.
Solid move as a leader to ask for trust instead of obedience. Trust is something deeper and requires more of oneself.
I wish I knew what I'm supposed to do.
Smart to make our first reintroduction to the Matrix God filled with doubt and uncertainty. Just because you can fly and mind-explode Elrond doesn't mean you know how to save the world yet. And our savior character, adrift and unsure of their future, is a great way to ground them and make them relatable to all us normies.
These geotherms confirm the last transmission of the Osiris.
Probably the saddest, but also sexiest animatrix short.
They're boring from the surface straight down to Zion.
Fun fact, Jada Pinkett Smith auditioned for the part of Trinity, and the Wachowskis thought she was great and kept her in mind for a role in the future. Also, she had Willow 1 month before filming, and that's superhuman. Are we sure she isn't the one?
A strategy is still being formulated.
I'm sure it is.
Pfft, if you weren't sure they dated, now you know.
Prophecy will be fulfilled soon. The Oracle must be consulted.
I mean, I've seen Neo tell bullets no, and even I think Morpheus sounds like a wacko, so I understand their hesitation.
I'm looking for Neo. I have something for him. A gift. You see, he set me free.
If Hugo's iconic delivery hadn't already made it clear, the earpiece is a perfect touch.
Do we proceed?
Yes.
He is still
Only human.
Machines probably don't understand cringe, so accuracy.
Upgrades.
Badass good guy. And I appreciate that Neo picked up where he left off, one-handed. But it's smart to not nerf Neo and instead level up the agents. But be careful, bro will throw you off a balcony. Also, the score for this fight is a nice mix of orchestral with a good beat and a tone that almost puts us at ease, as if it's reminding us Neo's got this. One of the tonal complaints about Reloaded is that it's so much cleaner and doesn't feel quite as visceral as the original, and while that's clearly true, it also makes sense. Neo has an entirely different relationship with the Matrix now, and even against upgraded agents, this is still not all that challenging for him. Also, now that Keanu is out of his neck brace, his fighting is going to look cleaner and less stilted since he's all healed and even more trained up. Even the way he flies, he doesn't crack the concrete, reality bends to him. He's not flying so much as he's changing code. The Da Vinci Code! Tell me you don't want to see that crossover. I mean, Robert Langdon definitely gonna figure out he's in the Matrix at some point, right? And speaking of not nerfing him, I'm so very glad he can still fly. And Smith got an upgrade too. Sexy black suit upgrade. Huh. Guess there really is no spoon. Zion's cool. I mean, it was hard enough convincing me to choose the dark, damp ship over the Matrix. This is natural looking, mostly. Sold. It'd be a real shame if we didn't see these bad boys in action.
It's fate. I mean, you're the reason I'm here, Neo.
I wouldn't say you need to have seen the Animatrix. It's pretty easy to figure out what's going on, but I think it's cool that there is more context if you want it.
You saved yourself. It's good to be home.
Thought you wanted to go back to the island and get your boy, Michael.
If it were up to me, Captain, you wouldn't set foot on a ship for the rest of your life.
Then I am grateful that it is not up to you.
Morpheus with the verbal kung fu.
What would you advise? The truth. No one will panic.
No one will panic? I'm gonna side with Tommy Lee Jones on this one.
A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it.
Not everyone believes what you believe.
My beliefs do not require them to. I believe very soon the prophecy will be fulfilled.
I hope you're right, Captain.
I do not believe it to be a matter of hope, Counselor. It is simply a matter of time.
Goodness, Morpheus, you can be insufferable. And sure, he's kinda right, but only because they're literally all being manipulated by the architect. But I get it. Everyone told him he was crazy for freeing and believing in Neo, and then he told some bullets to talk to the hand. So Zealots, am I right? Love. But also, are they not allowed any alone time on the Neb? Because, again, the Matrix is looking better and better. Hey, at least no one's asking your boyfriend to kiss them like they love them, huh?
They need you.
I need you.
Cuties.
Link, Morpheus is crazy.
No doubt.
Got him. But, like, respectfully and with trust.
Remember those that have been lost, and let us give thanks.
And shut up so we can start the dank dance orgy. Lawrence Fishburne's workout routine. Stomp off, Broadway.
Excuse me.
It's good to be the one. It's a weird break from the last movie, but I think the simple contrast between the hard, cold metal of the ships and sharp edges of all the machines to these natural rock formations and neutral fabric colors, sweaty bodies, you can just sort of imagine what it smells like? Not good, but also real, human? Organic chaos versus manufactured order. Yuck, or maybe hot, I don't know, no king shaming here. I just have a thing about slimy surfaces and like lake bottoms. It's unrelated, but now you know. Despite the Matrix being essentially sexless, the Wachowskis have often had overtly sexual moments in their work, and when it comes to Neo and Trinity, who could blame them? Are they ports? Are they nipples? Who could know? Nah, I'm going with yuck. It's that meme, I bet he's thinking about another woman, and then what he's actually thinking about is like, if he can bend forks too, but it's worse, it's so much worse.
Smith will suffice.
Quippy Smith. Hugo Weaving is still always a win.
Feels like everyone is sleeping very peacefully.
Yeah, did you see this?
I hate sleeping. I never sleep more than a few hours.
Well, that's not even the least bit relatable. Sleep is the best, except the few hours part.
What is control? If we wanted, we could smash them to bits. Although if we did, we'd have to consider what would happen to our lights, our heat, our air.
So we need machines and they need us.
Brain explosion.
Is that your point, Counselor?
No. No point.
Ha! He really is a politician.
Right now that operator's me.
I can't help but feel like when Tank answered the comms and said, operator, he was just being silly, like, hello, telephone operator, and now it's the title of the job? I mean, it fits. He operates the ship, but Tank said it when he answered the phone. I don't know. Maybe it's in case someone else answered the phone. Smith is human now, and pain is a huge part of being alive, at least biologically, so I get why he'd try out this pain stuff. So there is a spoon. But again, forks? Ah, seasoned brain stabby veteran now. Doesn't even flinch. Great way of letting us know that Seraph is different than the other programs, or that he's lemon lime flavored. The setting, the music, the color grading, even the way they're sparring nods to the Morpheus-Neo training fight scene. And you can almost tell that Neo is holding back.
You do not truly know someone until you fight them.
Especially yourself, right, Tyler?
I felt like sitting.
I know.
There's something so teen and parent in their interactions, which makes sense since this is the teen movie of the Matrix series. Everything is angsty, things are confusing and sometimes less fun, and also way more interested in sex. I'm making jokes, but it actually fits. Matrix's birth and childhood, Neo thinks the Oracle is an all-knowing being. Reloaded his adolescence and teenage years when Neo starts questioning her actual abilities and why she speaks in riddles, but still assumes she has the answers, and she continues to treat him like a child. And then Revolutions is adulthood and death. He challenges her completely, finally understanding that she's just another piece on the game board, and he finally makes his own decisions without her.
Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way.
You're not human, are you?
Well, it's tough to get any more obvious than that.
Ah, yes, that was very obvious. I definitely saw that coming and was not at all floored in the theaters when they dropped that major piece of the plot. Very smart guy over here. To be fair, it would be obvious to Neo since he can see the code now, and she knows that, so obvious.
If I had to guess, I'd say you're a program from the machine world.
That's kind of amusing to think about. So we know from the first Matrix that the agents are green in Matrix vision, so they're a part of the system, meaning they're software. But the implication here is that Seraph and the Oracle are both hardware. We find out in the next movie that Seraph is from an earlier version of the Matrix. But just the way Sati tries to leave the Matrix and enter the real world, I like to think they're actually physical machines somewhere in the machine world jacked into the Matrix just like humans. The Oracle is red-pilled.
Vampires, werewolves, or aliens. Every story you've ever heard about is the system assimilating some program that's doing something they're not supposed to be.
The way they address myths and religions has always been one of my favorite things about these movies. Always an explanation.
What happens if I fail?
Then Zion will fall.
Both options are technically failing, so I guess she's not lying?
What do all men with power want?
To distribute that power equitably amongst all people, thereby starting the process of dismantling all systems of hierarchy and oppression?
More power.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
Unplugged, a new man, so to speak, like you, apparently free.
The Smith cadence is just... There's nothing else like it. And I know there are touches of Carl Sagan, but it's unique to me.
Apparently free.
Congratulations.
Ha, got him.
Thank you.
Imagine if these two were just friends instead, like Vader and Luke. They could rule the Matrix, no problemo.
Purpose that binds us.
You talking about the One Ring? Say what you will about this fight, I will in a minute, but there's some amazing martial arts and choreography on display. Also, I like the idea that this fight was probably pitched day one in the writer's room and everyone laughed. Yeah, 100 Smiths would be a great way to escalate the stakes, and it wasn't until weeks later that they realized it was the best option. That's the first actual impact to Neo, so still Matrix God. I've been watching this for a while now, and most multi versus one fights have moments where one of the multis will pause before swinging because movies. But this fight seems to not have that, or at least much of it. Anytime it looks like it's happening, another Smith gets in the way or Neo is already blocking or ducking. The choreography in this fight is pretty dang tight.
You. Yes, me. Me too.
Self-actualization? Rubbery or not, it's still an awesome kick. Yo, yup. Okay, we get a little rubbery in here, but oh my gosh, does it not matter because it's so awesome. And you can never have enough Hugo weavings. It's kind of like fast bullet time? Smith crowd surfing? While the execution of the CGI in this fight is understandably disappointing to many, the concept will always be really dope. Honestly, I'm annoyed there weren't at least a few other neck cracks with the way they just saunter off. These two God modes throw some punches and then carry on with their days. Neo pieces out into the sky.
Comprehension is not a requisite of cooperation.
Cornel West bringing all the knowledge and sass to his cameo.
Hard for any man to risk his life.
Had to gender it, didn't ya? Gonna pay for that.
Captain Niobe of the Logos will answer the counselor's call.
Solid flex. I can't blame Morpheus for taking on the role of Neo's entourage. He discovered him after all.
Puis-je vous aider?
I'll have you know I guessed at what he was saying. Yes, can I help you? And I was correct when I translated that back into French, so clap for me. Or maybe for the Wachowskis, knowing that didn't need to be translated on screen.
And Trinity, of course.
It's weird that Lambert Wilson hasn't been a Bond villain yet, right? Seems nice enough, like maybe he won't murder you, but then later he takes out a straight razor while smiling and you get the picture.
Join us. This is my wife, Persephone.
Is anyone not just the hottest human alive in the Matrix?
Nom de Dieu de putain de bordel de merde de saloperie de connard d'enculé de ta mère, you see.
Aha, well, now we know why this is rated R in France. 12? Oh, well, let's try it out in English. God house of idiots, their mother's. Oh, right, my bad.
You see, there is only one constant, the only real truth. Causality.
Depending on whether you believe Matrix Online to be a reliable source of information, the Merovingian may have been the operating system for the second failed Matrix, the one dubbed Nightmare Matrix. But either way, his obsession with causality and hatred for the Oracle makes sense, since she would have been the one that got him fired or deleted when she introduced choice into the Matrix.
Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
No. See, I choose to pay my taxes because I don't like jail. It's a tad weird that the Merovingian is like watching Matrix Prawn with Neo, a stranger he just met, but he's a weird guy, I guess.
You can see it, Neo, yes?
Touch me, and that hand will never touch anything again.
Put that on a shirt.
Well, that didn't go so well.
Astute, Neo. Astute.
He was like you.
Kind of a but for the grace of God go I type situation. Given Neo's power, how many would go down the Merovingian path?
Do you have to give me something?
What?
A kiss. Excuse me.
It's good to be the one.
It's just a kiss.
Yeah, you said that last time, and then Keanu saw you materialize out of the bed, so sure, jealousy is a learned construct, but also that's like Da Vinci saying, let me paint your girlfriend. It's just a smile. Yes, I'm comparing Monica Bellucci's beauty to the rareness of the Mona Lisa. I grew up with Dracula and Milena. I can't help it. Okay, but that was uncalled for.
How many people keep silver bullets in their gun?
Fewer than can melt Neo's crucifix with their tongue?
He's in the ladies' room.
He thought he was being smooth, but she knew. They always know. Love this reveal. He's an actual key maker, and he takes that title very seriously.
She wasn't kissing your face, my love.
Was she biting his wrist? I had no Dracula references on my first draft, and now it's all Dracula references. I can't explain what happened. Whole lot of nope.
You know, your predecessors had much more respect.
So even this doofus knows he isn't the first one? Dang, humans are really out of the loop here.
Okay, you have some skill.
Finally, some respect. Who knew that we needed a Matrix fight with stabby and smashy weapons? I didn't, and I ain't complaining.
You see, he's just a man.
Yeah, if you think Jedi are just humans. Also, he palm blocks a blade. All that for a drop of blood? Is this movie up its own butt? Probably. Do I care? No, because it's awesome. Heck, I'm up there too. Come join me. Lots of room. Look at that double block. Skadoosh.
Damn it.
woman, you will be the end of me.
Blaming a woman for your own all-around douchebaggery. Are we sure he's a program and not my neighbor Ed? Don't worry, Ed's in his 80s, he doesn't YouTube, but he sure does yell a lot. This got dark. Huh, that's quick thinking, knowing he'll have to either get shot or phase and let Trinity go. Morpheus fighting two albino phasing dreadlocked twins with a katana is the answer to a question I never knew I should have been asking. I like that he's just showing off and trying to scare Trinity, since there's no way he could actually cut her without at least losing that arm. This is what we call nerfing by exclusion, which, yeah, he is still human. So what happens?
Said it was suicide.
Then let us hope that I was wrong.
Morpheus being wrong is kind of a theme in this film, just not specifically this time. Same thing from the first one. Nothing is ever cool enough by itself. They always gotta slow it down and fly the camera over the light bar with an impossible shot. If you'd been iffy on this movie in theaters up until now, once this track kicks in, nothing else mattered. You were in. Kind of like that dumb causality speech from the Merovingian. Climax cake and climax beats. That doesn't. Talk about CQC. You know, close quarters combat, because it's really close in the car, and they're combating. Quarters? I never had any clue what Morpheus was doing here until I slowed it down. He's whipping him in the face with a seatbelt, and that somehow adds like a full percentage point of enjoyment to this entire movie. Fascist Hulk smash! Still pretty dang dope.
We are getting aggravated.
Well, we are enjoying the heck out of the set piece. Hell yes, badass katana wielding good guy. Where's Trin when you need to phase this?
Cancel that. You are handy.
What, you don't keep a Ducati key with you at all times? Yes, you are correct. It just got a lot cooler in here. And let's just say this was an experience in theaters? Tight toss. Been thinking about how weird it is that agents can legit move faster than bullets, but when it comes to fighting, Morpheus can basically keep up. There are a few reasons for this. The first is that dodging bullets looks awesome, and so does foot-to-head combat. It would be dumb if the agents were this fast in every fight. But why can't they? The way I see it, bullet dodging is just one of their abilities. It's something they've been coded to do. Like Morpheus said back in the Lady in Red program.
Their strength and their speed are still based in a world that is built on rules.
So that's one of their rules, but outside of bullets coming at them, they can't move that fast. They'll never fly, they'll never perform the many fists of the one. Smith apparently had the ability Goro arms, but that's neither here nor there. Up, up, back, BBA down. Morpheus really has that move down. Aggressive tailoring. Oh man, I bet he wishes Neo saw that, because it looked pretty dang smooth. See, even when it's a sword and not a bullet, he can't phase. Saving that guy you're always talking about change with. Yep, this is such an advantage that agents have. It begs the question why they don't kamikaze more often, and really nails Morpheus's point home about the freeway being dangerous. Look, I'm sure Neo knows the perfect amount of tension and force to use, but it's possible that the first few times he tried something like this, he just flew away with a handful of clothes, or worse, a few fingers. Nope, not a fan of that at all.
How long will that take? Exactly 314 seconds.
Is that a nod to pie? That kind of looks like pie. Maybe I should have some pie?
Count sheep at home.
Why? I get paid to count them here.
Narc, what is your deal? Who talks to a coworker like that? Narc.
We're talking less than 5 minutes here.
In 5 minutes, I'll tear that whole building down.
Trinity will always be the coolest. She really only goes for Italian bikes, huh?
You look surprised to see me again, Mr. Anderson.
Still a dead-naming POS. We're two gods in this program standing in the hallway of the guy who wrote the code for the gods, and you're throwing the name of a literal dead person at me? Bruh, you killed Mr. Anderson. Neo flies now.
Hold it right there, little lady.
Well, that's what you get for being a narc. Are his fingernails dark because of all the metal dust, or is he just a fan of silver nail polish?
Hello, Neo.
Larry!
Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not.
You can say that again, but everything about this is so perfect. No score, simple white room. It's not some evil villain monologue, it's just a data dump from a program. Sure, he's arrogant, but he's seen this before.
While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected, and thus not beyond a measure of control.
So basically he's saying no matter how good he is at the addings and subtractings, there's always this little irregularity created by free will, and even though he can't stop it from happening, he can still make sure it does what he wants.
You can't make me do anything.
Seriously, the video game stuff keeps getting reinforced. This is Morpheus' signature move, this is Trinity's.
Thus the answer was stumbled upon by another, an intuitive program, initially created to investigate certain aspects of the human psyche.
Well, that explains why the Oracle ends up on the human side, or at least wanting peace. Once she started understanding humans, learning how important free will was to them, she'd undoubtedly learn human empathy at the same time.
The Oracle.
Please.
Larry, buddy, you're just mad you came up with a cooler name.
This is about Zion.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's what I thought too. I'm glad you said it out loud though, just so I know that so that we're on the same page.
I have no idea what the hell I'm saying.
The door to your right leads to the source and the salvation of Zion. The door to your left leads back to the Matrix, to the end of your species.
So that's kind of a lie, maybe not from Colonel Sanders' point of view, but then again, he's not actually telling Neo anything other than what he thinks will help him obtain the outcome he wants. It's not the salvation of Zion, it's the survival of humanity and a new Zion with 23 previously blue-pilled people, which is just a reboot where everyone gets to do this all over again for eternity. And while this might seem like a choice for love and Trinity, the more you think about it, the more you realize that it was never in Neo's character to choose to let all of Zion be destroyed just so humans could continue to be enslaved. I love how every monitor in unison looks up slightly before a live Neo because the decision was unanimous. They're all walking the same direction.
If I were you, I would hope that we don't meet again.
I'd be scared. Huh, Neo must run on jet fuel. The Carnado that follows Neo in this sequence is just stellar.
Holy shit, you caught him.
And I do love that all his coworkers are still amazed by his abilities. It's probably like being on a team with LeBron or Messi. Sometimes you're all just doing a job, and other times you're like, holy crap, I'm glad they're on my team. Also saving Trinity in the most extraordinary way possible. We know he wouldn't leave her bones behind this time since he had practiced earlier. And the car is crushed almost identically to Neo's vision, so even though it seemed like he was seeing Trinity die, someone was going to hit the car like that, and now we know it was the agent.
I had to.
I know.
Man, now there's some love. I mean, there's intimate, and then there's reviving someone by pumping their heart with your hand. Relationship goals? Nah.
Guess this makes us even.
Got him.
I have dreamed a dream. But now that dream is gone from me.
It's a great line, maybe a reference to the book of Daniel in the Old Testament, but I'm getting real Fontaine, now life has killed the dream I dreamed vibes.
I can feel them.
And every single one of us went home to the IMDb message boards to talk about how it's definitely a Matrix within a Matrix, and I'm pretty sure there are still people who believe that to this day. And who knows what Resurrections will say, but that's not my theory, and I think it definitely hurts the trilogy. Unfortunately, the explanation in Revolutions is just not the best. But I don't think they did it just because they thought it was cool. I think it does make sense. Neo had been to the architect's office. He even says this.
So the process has altered your consciousness.
He might be talking about being red-pilled, he might mean becoming the one, or he might mean walking through this door. It's easy to forget that Neo is not 100% human. He was grown by the machines, so it's not unreasonable to believe that the change somehow connected him to the Matrix and the machine mainframe, and he can therefore sense, feel, and in the next movie see the Sentinels even without eyes. Like Wi-Fi even. Wireless connections aren't even sci-fi, it's clearly what the Sentinels use. It's not perfect, that's what we got. Walking out of the theater for The Matrix, I think we all collectively agreed, OMG, give me more of this world. I want to see more Neo flying and poning agents just god-moding it up in The Matrix. And then we all quickly followed it up with, so yeah, that you probably shouldn't make a sequel. It's a weird place to be. Nothing was ever going to touch the original. It's tough to beat origin stories, the mystery of what it all means. So what did the Wachowskis do? They made 2 sequels at once. To be fair, it's basically one movie split in 2. Still, there's a clear delineation between the philosophy one and the action one. Because of that, I have a lot of thoughts about this movie that I'll have to talk about more in the Revolution's conclusion, but I've still got some thoughts that only apply to this one. Obviously, reactions were mixed. Okay, lots of people hated it, and besides some wonky CGI, weak dialogue, stilted acting, kind of all of what's going on with Zion and the rave scene, and then the overall pattern of fight, philosophy dump, fight, philosophy dump, fight. But besides all that, one of the hardest pills to swallow was the undoing of the Matrix. One of my failures when talking about the Matrix was my little aside about 90s ennui, because I both downplayed what was actually happening in the world as well as didn't make it explicit that just because a bunch of wish I was special sad boys glommed onto the movie doesn't mean they were the target. Reloaded made that about as clear as can be by backtracking what the One actually is and does. He's the One, all right, if you ignore the 5 ones before him, and he's meant to be the savior of humanity if sacrificing the vast majority of his freed friends is your idea of salvation. And yes, Neo does buck the system, but at the end of this movie, the only thing he does is save Trinity and escape. The Wachowskis wanted to leave us with one bit of hope, so he displays his connection to the source, damaging to him as it is. So I get why people hated this film. However, it's much better than most of us gave it credit for back then, and it gets better on subsequent rewatches. Once our expectations are put aside, we can enjoy the fun elements. All the new lore and characters, the Merovingian, the Keymaker, the creepy ghost twins, the Seraph? Lots of new characters with the first name The. Even the Neo-Trinity love story that felt a little shoehorned in The Matrix is placed front and center here. So much is added to the world of The Matrix, and I can't help but love it. I want to talk about how this movie is about fate versus choice, but like I said, it's hard to talk about these 2 movies separately, so more next week for The Matrix finale, Revolutions. Well, finale until it gets resurrected 2 decades later.
Quelle bonne surprise, n'est-ce pas? Who could have guessed? I have told you before, there is no escaping the nature of the universe.